Well, my name is Nickolas Rossi. I'm a director, cinematographer based out of Brooklyn, New York. I'm here in Montreal again, but for the first time with my film Heaven Adores You. It's a film about singer-songwriter Elliot Smith, who sort of had a rise to fame in the late 90s, early 2000s, mostly known for a song that was nominated for an Academy Award called Miss Misery, who tragically died in 2003. What's interesting about Elliot's sort of where he comes from is he comes from this sort of punk background. He was influenced by a lot of this sort of punk music that was happening, but even further back he was influenced by the Beatles, he was influenced by maybe Nick Drake, even though he's made compared to. But he's also sort of, in the time that he's been not with us, he's sort of achieved that level of being part of that canon of great American singer-songwriters. He still has this influence in a way that John Lennon sort of has this influence on people who are discovering his music years after they've been gone. He has this incredible ability to speak on a lot of universal levels. And he's not just telling you stories about things that he experienced. I mean, I'm sure they're in there as well, but I think the mark of a great singer-songwriter is to be a great storyteller, to be a great observer. And throughout the course of this film, I sort of realized that he was a lot more complex and much more creative than I think I imagined. And I started listening to his music in a very different way. So his music will sort of fit in any sort of relationship or any sort of time period. It is this sort of classic, timeless, emotional, individual experience that you have. I had the pleasure of actually living in all three of these cities at different points in my life, and they represent different things to me. And so, as a filmmaker, it was easy to kind of go back there, but there was a lot of personal things in there because I had listened to Elliot's music in all three of these cities at three different times. In Portland, definitely had the feeling of being younger and a little bit more sensitive towards things. But Portland's also a city that's changed quite a bit since the 90s. And so going back there to shoot was a challenge because I had to shoot in a way that represented, what Portland may have been. But I wanted to kind of have this theme of it being a little bit more empty and a little bit more lonely and isolating. New York is definitely a whole other city to deal with. There's constant stimulation. There's a totally different way that you relate to the city. There's much more cement. There's much more people. There's a sort of a chaotic energy to it. And Los Angeles has always felt like sun-bleached and very overexposed and a little bit sharper. And maybe in some ways that I was trying to get these feelings across to the audience of what these cities would feel like. I think when we came into this project, the focus was around the music and it wasn't around the salacious sort of stuff that happened at the end. And I think the more that we proved that we were just fans that wanted to talk about the music, the easier it became for people to want to talk about that, because I think at the end of the day, that's the stuff that you really want to remember about somebody is the music that they made, the art that they created, the impact that they've had, the influence that's still there.